Welcome, everybody. This is episode 10. We don't have a guest for you today. It's just Joel and myself. We're going to be commenting on a lot of different things about what's going on in our lives, about current events. Who knows where this conversation is going to go? But our intention is every 10 episodes to do a solo episode, perhaps. When I say solo, I mean the two of us, and just see where it goes. So I'm just really good to be here with you, brother, man. I love this venture that we're doing. We've had some amazing guests the last 9 weeks, and we have so many freaking awesome people that are coming on in the next couple months. So
Absolutely, bro. It's good to be here, man. And I mean, just looking back, we've done 10 episodes, bro. We've had some pretty amazing guests already and some pretty incredible eye-opening conversations. And likewise, man, want to reciprocate that. Just grateful for this venture and the fact that you and I connected by, these absolute synchronicities, which are so obvious. And just, to deny the beauty of existence and the beauty of what's possible when you're willing to live and to meet your own truth in those deepest and darkest crevices, what's able to be opened and expanded, in reality, and opportunities and potential that's provided to you by the inner work that you're willing to do, man. And it's just an incredible thing.
yeah, dude, I just really appreciate you, man. Like, again, it's kind of on the subject that I've been talking about lately with a lot of people, especially the last 15 months, where we're kind of separating into these like two separate communities of people who are questioning the conventional narrative, people who are critical thinking a little bit more, and then those that maybe aren't as much and who are
Yep.
accepting what's being fed to them by media, by government, by their doctors, etc. And I find that the people that I've been connecting with that are on the same page, that are like minds, like I have this deep connection with them.
Mm,
They feel like family already. And there's some people I've known for 10, 15, 20 years where it's like, okay, like there's a place in my heart for you, but we're just not on the same
yeah.
path.
Yeah.
And you do what you have to do, and I'm gonna live my life. And so I bring all that up because you're someone who we connected maybe for the first time, several months ago, if that.
3 months, 4 months.
3 4 months ago we
Yeah.
connected, and then we both realized that we had a passion for truth, and not just external truth but inner truth,
Mm,
doing the inner work, doing the shadow work, really honoring that quote by Socrates, know thyself, and what goes into knowing oneself.
yep.
And we just kind of were like, yo, let's do this.
Yeah,
And our
man.
first two episodes literally were that, we talked about what it means to walk the authentic path. And I'm
Definitely,
just
bro.
grateful for our friendship.
Thank you, man. And I appreciate that. And I hear you too, dude. It's like we were living on um seemingly stable ground for such a long time. And it's like some events happened which just shook the surface of of this reality. And it's like all of a sudden we're something was on a deeper level. I feel like something became active within all of us, and it's like there's an opportunity to almost accelerate that inner work. And it's like, what I mean, are you going to drift away on one side, what I mean, with the Babylon, which is falling and collapsing? Are you going to continue to be a slave to all your fears and all your trauma and all your conditioning and everything that you've never dealt with and still refuse to deal with, even though the stakes are this high? And at this point in time, if you're not going to make the hard steps, then, obviously that's the way that you're going to go, because, convenience is the killer, and convenience is what they sell at the end of the day. And there's also at the same time a bunch of us, which in my opinion is the majority, that are feeling this, witnessing this, realizing this. And it's like, all right, what's coming up for me now? And how can I address that? And based on the fact that I know that what I want to experience here now as a living being on earth is equivalent to what I'm willing to meet within myself. And I'm supported in that. And I realize that there's other people doing that as well. And I'm not alone. And we have this opportunity where we can be held, and we can co-create a new reality. based on natural principles, living principles, God principles.
Well said. Well
Mm,
said. And actually, it's interesting because yesterday, Sophie and I, we went to a Health Freedom for Humanity meetup in Los Angeles. And it was really cool to connect with some other people. Now, Sophie and I have been having our own gatherings, and I feel
yeah.
solid in my community and the people that I'm connected to and have been for a bit now that think more similarly. And I would say place critical thinking and questioning the status quo as a value. And one of the things that I heard from many people and people who I've connected with afterwards, last night and today, they're like, I feel like nobody in my friend group, no one in my life is looking at things the same way. So there's so
Mhm.
many people who are feeling disconnected. There are people who are feeling lonely and wondering like, "Oh, am I the only person? Like what am I going to do?" And yet the reality is there's so many of us.
Yeah.
They are so many of us. Like you mentioned I think on a post recently,
Yeah.
we are the majority in
Yeah.
some degree. You know what I mean? And it's like
Well,
to
to me, just look at any YouTube video on this topic. Look at any social media on this topic. Like the likes to the dislikes are so completely disproportional, always in favor of, you mean, what to me is the truth. And it's like, you can't hide that.
Yeah, no, not at all. And it actually makes me feel awesome that there's more and more people who are, let's say waking up or
Mm,
red pilling or whatever you want to call it, just really looking into the mirror and being like, there is something off about life, about the way things have gone for decades, for people, let's say, that have only lived decades. I mean, we can say millennia, we can say thousands of years
yeah.
if you really want to get into it and
Yeah.
look at things historically, and look at the whole control grid and the control matrix. But for people who, let's say, are 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, whatever the case may be, they're like, no, this is not right. This is weird. And
Yeah.
so there's something else out there and I want to search for it. I want to look for it. And a lot of that searching starts from within first. I met someone yesterday who was like, yeah, I at the beginning of this whole, COVID-19 84 lockdown, etc., like she told me she was like 200 and, you know, I don't know, 30 pounds, I think it was. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, what? You were 230 pounds? She must have lost like 70, 80 pounds. Or, I mean, I'm just throwing that number out there, but lost a lot of weight. And she's like, I just made a commitment that, like, no, this isn't working for me. I'm going to take my health. I'm going to take personal responsibility for it. I want to feel better. I want to live a life filled with vitality, and like made huge changes and changing how she ate, changed how she looked at the world. And this was a younger person.
Yeah.
This was someone in their early 20s. And for me, like, it's such a breath of fresh air and it's so amazing because you're hearing the majority being like, I gained like, 15, 20 pounds during this whole thing. And so to meet people that are like, going in the opposite direction and going like, no, I took things to a whole nother level because whatever that was underneath, we talk about pain being a great motivation for change.
Hmm.
Whatever that thing was going on underneath, what happened in the world for some people went, okay, enough is enough. I have the time now. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, am I going to, continue to be a slave to my fears, to my conditioning, or am I going to change those patterns? Am I going to step up and take
Answering the
control
call,
of my
bro.
life? Yeah, answering the call.
Yeah.
And that
Absolutely,
is
man.
part of that hero's journey that we talk about. You don't need to go anywhere for the hero's journey often.
Yeah,
You
dude.
don't need to travel across the world. You can have a hero's journey literally, probably within the context of your own space.
Yeah. And the phone is ringing fucking loud at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty cool to see. It's pretty cool to witness. I'm really inspired by the people that I've been meeting and the people that have, for many, questioning things that have been told to them by
Yeah.
by their teachers, by culture, by society for the first time,
Yeah.
and then taking it full on and like doing serious studies, serious research, serious investigation.
Yeah.
There's some people who I talked to, they're like, yeah, like last year was the first time I actually kind of started questioning things. And then the things they're telling me a year later, I'm like, damn, you've been putting in the work. You know what I mean?
We see it, bro. We see it all around us all the time, man. And it's a living experience for me and you as well, right? We're going through the same thing as everybody else, dude, all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, it never ends when
Yeah.
you're on this path. It's a lifelong endeavor of peeling away the layers, of learning, of breaking down conditioning, of doing the shadow work, of looking inwards and going, oh, man, why do I do that? Why is
Yeah.
that a thing? Why is that my behavior?
Yeah.
Why do I say that thing when that stimulus comes into my life? Like, why do I react?
Yeah.
Can we put that focus inwards?
I love it, man. And like just exactly what you're doing there, just asking the questions. Asking the questions prompts the answer, bro. If you're brave enough to ask the question, you know the answer. The answer's there. It's coming up. It's already
Yeah,
coming up the moment you ask it. Um,
yeah,
and it reminds me because Grant on our last episode kept talking about perchance moments or seizing the now or seizing the call. And for him, it was, what I mean, whether it be burning a bag or whatever, or burning his book or
yeah,
whatever it is. But for me, in my experience, it's usually confronting something which is exposing myself to some degree and just letting myself be exposed and dealing with the fallout because I realize the fallout is healing. But whether it be a hard conversation or a memory cropping up that, you know what I mean, I tried to repress and forget about, which I know just has to be expressed and let go. So I got know I got to talk to that person and just deal with it and just bring it up and seize the moment, no matter how much that part of me doesn't want to be seen. You know what I mean? I don't want to be remembered. I've been trying to hide for the longest time. You know what I mean? Don't look at me now. But in my process is that I do have those moments, and it's honoring the fact that when those moments come up, it's it's linked to growth. And what am I going to choose?
yeah.
Yeah,
There's certain aspects of my life that I can say have been comfortable, and I'm grateful for that too. I don't want to paint the picture that like you just have to have this like stressful existence and deal with your pain and deal with your past. There's a lot of healing that happens when feeling safe and feeling comfortable. To a
of
certain
course.
degree. And for a lot of people, just being able to feel safe allows them the space to ask those
Mhm.
questions, to explore those answers for themselves. And
Yeah,
this is a big thing in trauma resolution and people who work with trauma, is like, how can we create more safety within oneself so you could build a larger window of tolerance to navigate and deal with certain things that come up. For a lot of people, you know, that's it's not a
definitely, man.
conscious thing. It's difficult. It's
Definitely.
not a conscious thing. You could tell someone like, okay, you should do this and you should do that. And it's like, well, if their nervous system isn't a place to really receive that or to hold something within themselves, it's tricky. Hence why all the modalities we talk about and all the different people that we're going to have on and the work that we do, and even obviously the work that Sophie and I do working with the physical body,
Yeah,
is how do we create more space to explore the deeper elements of ourselves, the more unconscious element of ourselves. And we
yeah,
had talked about maybe talking about shadow work. And so it kind of comes up here is like, my view is that the body is the shadow.
yeah,
How do we work with the body? Like
yeah,
subconscious, below the conscious mind,
yeah,
and very often just feeding it good nutrition, building a deeper level of self-awareness, doing really, really deep body work and working with the tissues, working with the structure can bring things up to the surface to be faced and
yeah,
processed and dealt with, especially from an emotional standpoint. I work with clients where it's like, they repress their anger and all of a sudden, like, whew, this shit comes up to the surface. And very often I
mhm,
feel it. I'm sweating bullets.
yeah,
I'm sweating just working on someone. And
yeah,
very often I'm like, what's your relationship to anger? And
yeah,
it's like, well, I don't really express it, et cetera, et cetera. So these kinds of things are really important for people to get a hold of, because if not, they're going to have a hold on you. If you don't have a conscious relationship with these different aspects of yourself, they are going to control you, and they're going to come out in moments when least expected,
yeah,
when you're triggered.
yeah. Oh, absolutely, dude. And just yeah, space is 100% the first step because the unconscious isn't gonna speak to you. It isn't gonna communicate if the space isn't there. But what it will communicate is for you to create that space, right? It'll whether it be heal your body, eat good food, move away from this location, move away from
Mhm,
this traumatic relationship or
mhm.
situation or this person. So it'll actually hint that first. And then once you make those adjustments, then it'll start, you know what I mean? Hinting the deeper things. That's my lived experience anyway. I was in a really bad, well, not a bad state, but you know what I mean, it was pre the catalyst for me really listening to my shadow. I was living in an apartment block, you know what I mean, 7 stories above the ground, so much EMF all around me, disconnected from the earth because I was constantly above the air, having to go in an elevator up and down to go anywhere. The moment I went down the elevator, I was in a shopping complex because the apartment was above a shopping complex. And I knew it just wasn't conducive at all. And that was the first thing that was being spoken to me, was that you've got to put yourself in an environment where you can actually have the opportunity to heal, because unless you do that first, you mean you can't. It's not going to happen here. Um, and
There's a quote by someone. There's
I
a
answered
quote by
that
someone.
call. Yeah.
There's a quote. I'm not sure who said the quote, but it's like you can't heal in the same environment you got sick in.
Mm,
So it's interesting.
yeah, man, it is
Um,
interesting. So yeah, dude, that was pretty much right at the the tail end of that situation for me. Was right at the start of the, I guess, quote unquote pandemic. So yeah, man, we moved an hour and a half down the coast. We moved, you mean, literally, bro, 1 minute from the beach. We live in a little lake. We live in a smaller community. And this is where healing has occurred for me, man. And it continues to occur.
yeah,
And as you go through that process, just becoming aware and tuning into what situations you need to provide for yourself to actually heal.
yeah, I agree, man. I agree, and I think nature provides that space you were talking about. Getting closer to nature, moving outside of the concrete jungle where you're
Yeah.
distracted at every element, because we could still be distracted even in nature if we live in nature, because we have these phones, we have these devices. So how is an individual
Hmm.
creating the space for themselves?
Yeah.
I have to. If I don't go outside and spend some time there, I feel it. I feel it in like my bones. I feel it in my muscles. I feel more contracted.
Yeah.
But to just slow down, take some breaths, it has such a huge impact.
Know thyself, bro. And we're all different, man. And we're all, there's no path alike in dealing with it, right?
Hmm.
Because we are all so unique. And that's also the beauty of, the arts that we've come into contact with in human design. Um, and the
And the
rest of
Karen
it is that
Spelling
we've
books,
got
yeah.
different strategies, different ways of responding, different. It's all different for each of us. So unless you walk that path yourself, unless you start figuring it out on your own, or someone points you to how you can figure it out on your own, then it's not going to be a long lasting thing. You might make some progress, but eventually you're going to regress because you actually didn't build those muscles yourself, um, to take that deeper journey.
Yeah, man. I totally feel you there. Um,
I've got a
I
quote
don't
from
know.
Pythagoras here, dude. No one is free who has not obtained the empire of himself. No man is free who cannot command himself.
I mean, that's the epitome of taking personal responsibility for your life.
Yeah,
And
dude.
what you said before too, it's like, it's important to have people you can turn to, teachers, mentors, but at the end of the day, you got to walk that path. You have to do the
Mhm.
work.
You've got to
You
be
know,
willing.
you
Yeah.
you have to be willing for sure. And if you're not, then you're gonna have the life that maybe you don't want to have. And so
Mm.
again, we keep coming back to this. Is why I'm such an advocate of really being as present and getting as healthy as you can and eating as cleanly as you can, because and limit distractions, because then you can feel the pain that's bubbling up in the surface. Like if you're just like getting high all the time and drinking all the time and jerking off the porn all the time and shopping all the time and scrolling through
Yeah.
social media all the time, you're not giving yourself that space for that whisper,
Yeah.
for whatever you want to call it, your higher self or different parts of you that come up and be like, hey, pay attention to me.
Yeah.
Like, I would like you to do things differently, or I need help, or whatever it is, these different parts of us, different voices within us,
Yeah.
you know, you have to create that space for that, to listen to them
Yeah,
and
man. I
to,
mean, I'll when I feel it, bro, I'll just delete the apps off my phone. You know what I mean? If that's, I'll force myself into situations to have that space. You know what I mean? Because I know I can get into a pattern where, you know what I mean, just want to be distracted. Sometimes, you know what I mean, you just want to numb out. You don't want to deal with anything. But you know what I mean? So it's in those moments where I force myself to have that space if I have to. You know what I mean? And yeah, dude, it's an ongoing process, bro, for all of us. Always, man. It's not something that's gonna, you know what I mean,
no, not
always
at all.
deeper, bro.
I think back to a really powerful experience in my life, which was like, what is it now, over 7 years ago, I think. And I went through a breakup. I just moved to Los Angeles, and I had left so much comfort back in New York City. You know, I had financial security, I had my acting community, I had my health and wellness healing community, I had my family, my friends. And I moved out here because again, there was a voice that came to me and was like, you have to leave. You have to leave New York. You
Hmm.
know, you have to move to Los Angeles.
Wow.
And, you know, after my first 6 months of kind of like going through some savings, you know, I hit that point where it was like, damn, like, who are you? Like, who are you outside of all that feedback that you're getting from your friends, your family, your, you know, your fellow creatives, your teachers? You know, who are you when you don't have all that?
Yeah.
And I realized for me, I had built up a huge part of my identity through what other people thought about me and how they felt about me,
Hmm.
outside of just who I thought about, how I felt about myself.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I went through like a mini little depression. And at that time, it was interesting because I was seeking connection. I didn't have all that that I had in New York, and I got into a couple of relationships that, let's say, weren't ideal for me at the time. Though looking back, they were perfect. They're exactly what I needed. And one of them was someone I met at a bar I was working at. And you know, make a long story short, like it was like really intense for 2.5 months, and I totally like fully just kind of bought into it. Like she would tell me she was madly in love with me every single day. And then one day she was just like, I need to be happy on my own. I can't be in this relationship. And
Wow.
that for me, that was like a new experience. And, you know, I had already stopped using all substances at that time. Not that I was abusing any, but like I was off alcohol, any recreational drugs, any alcohol. And, um, you know, I had to feel the pain of that. I was like, no, I'm not going to like drink this away. I'm not going to try
Yeah.
to fuck the pain away, etc.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in it and feel it.
Yeah.
And that was huge for me. And it actually brings up one of my favorite quotes by Rumi, which is you have to keep breaking your heart so it could open.
Yeah.
You got to allow yourself to feel the pain of those micro heartbreaks or large heartbreaks
Yeah.
to get the gifts and the wisdom of them.
Yeah.
And I tell Sophie this, I tell people this all the time. I don't think I would be the man that I am today and the husband that I am if that experience didn't happen and if I didn't allow myself to feel the feelings and feel the pain of not having the control of being rejected, of being abandoned, whatever stories I came up with for myself. And I'm so grateful. Like people ask me like, what are some of the most amazing experiences in your life? And that usually kind of comes up to the surface because
Hmm.
even when I was in it, there was enough space to go, this is what I need, this is the medicine I need, this is good for me, even though it was so painful, you know,
Yeah.
because there were other things going on in my life too. I didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing with my life. Did I want to continue down the acting path? Did I want to continue down the more health, healing, wellness path? I was having financial anxiety. So all this stuff happened at the same time. And it was a
Yeah.
huge dark night of the soul. So I know I went a little bit of a tangent, but
Not
just
at
kind of
all. It's all very
talking about
relevant.
what this journey is and what can you do to allow yourself to go through that process, to feel the pain that is part of life.
Well, I think the one thing that you did was not revert to your self-sabotaging behaviors. And that's the normal response for whenever we feel uncomfortable or whenever that body of trauma is actually triggered, right? It's you mean what can I revert to so I don't have to feel
Yeah.
this or
No,
or
and
feel
to
it
be,
less.
yeah, exactly. And I also want to say that for some people, there are certain tools or behaviors that they use just to self-regulate because that's all they have.
Mm.
And there were times like I'm like, you know, maybe I'll binge watch a little TV. Like, you know, my inner child needed a little, you know, that's fine. You
Yeah.
know, but again, it's like, what's the thing you do habitually? Are you doing it
Mm.
all the time? Am I drinking every night? Am I getting high every day because of the discomfort of my life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Or
I
what's the
also
thing
don't
that you
want to,
go to when you feel pain, right?
yeah. And I also don't want to paint the picture that like if you do these things that you're bad. It's
Yeah.
just this is it's all about creating more self-awareness. Like what's happening in my body, what's happening in my psyche, and then what am I turning to?
Yeah.
What behavior is coming from that? What am
Yes.
I relying on to not feel the depth of who I am as a human being?
Yeah. Well, it's what am I using it for? So, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, you know, again, walking the authentic path, part three.
Yeah, man. I think that's what this is, dude. And like I've been having some revelations myself lately. Because I've growing up, I was always, I guess, classed in by my parents in an impressive category, right? Growing up, I had, I think it was 137 IQ. Um, I finished high school at the age of 16 years old. I was reading at the age of 2. Um, so I always felt this need to maintain that element of impressiveness or being above on some level and somewhat. And I began to find myself, you know what I mean, like living a pseudo self or a pseudo reality just to maintain that illusion or to project myself as something more than I actually am. And that's what held me back for the longest time. And what it came up for me, man, this was yesterday, dude. There was a memory that cropped up where I remember when I was 5, 6, or 7 years old. I woke up before the rest of the family. I pulled out a lyric book from a cupboard that my parents had, and I copied the lyrics in my own handwriting onto a piece of paper. And then when my parents woke up, I was like, "Look at this song I wrote." Right? So I lied to them just to just to feel the need, just to feel that, you mean that I was living up to that
That
impressiveness or
that
that
you were special.
expectation
That you were special.
that I was special. Yeah, because I became so accustomed to wanting to be special, to feeling special, etc., etc. Because this was what I had identified as, and I mean this carried on for a long time throughout my life, until, you mean, obviously I started looking at the deeper things behind it all. It's an interesting journey, bro, and you never really know what little fantasies or delusions you've been mustering. So yeah, man.
Yeah, dude, thanks for sharing that. I think we share that in our lives as well. You know, I was the
Mm,
youngest. Things came easy to me,
yeah,
sports, athletics, et cetera, et cetera. And it was just like that
yeah,
became part of my identity. And if I wasn't that, what was I? Was I ordinary?
yeah.
Oh my God, that was so triggering to my psyche. You know, it's like,
Mm,
oh, fuck, my body. It's like, I can't be ordinary. I need to be special,
yeah,
you know? And it's just like, it can be
absolutely, bro.
paralyzing. It can be
Yeah,
so paralyzing as well,
yeah.
you know? So,
And then you realize that, like, there's no such thing as ordinary, right? We are all such unique beings, and, like, when I say this, I mean it in the absolute way it comes out, is that there's no two people alike, not in any way. Like, on a scale of attributes, we are all so different. We are all so different, man. Um, and in knowing that, and in being able to recognize and figure that out, and to find something where it's like you can express your uniqueness and your authenticity and have that alignment, dude, between your inner and outer realities, and just literally live your truth. That's the ideal for
there's no
me.
greater feeling. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no greater feeling.
yeah,
And I think we shared a quote from Allison from her post where she spoke about that from her interview, where like when you're living your truth, like waking up knowing that you're in alignment with who you are, there's no
yes.
greater feeling.
No,
There's
there's
no
not.
drug that's better than
Not
feeling
having to
aligned in
pretend for
mind.
anyone, whether it be a family member, whether it be a father, a mother, a brother, sister, even the closest person, just not having to pretend, even in the slightest iota, any single part of yourself for anyone, right? It's like this is me, this is who I am. Like, why do we have to play these games with each other to fit into each other's filters and perceptions of one
Hmm.
another? I don't want to do that.
No, I don't either. I
Mm,
don't either. And again, this is why I do love um I love systems like human design, like astrology, like numerology.
yeah,
Even though there may be other people that aren't into that shit,
yeah.
I'm no, I mean, like for real. Like I respect people's opinions. You know, like I love that. I love when people are like, "Nah, that shit doesn't work for me." I'm
Yeah,
like, "That's cool. Do you
yeah,
know anything about it?" You
yeah,
know, that would be my next question.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
but I love that element of knowing my human design, knowing my astrology, getting into my cards. Like those things have shined such a amazing light on strengths, challenges, weaknesses, opportunities for growth, and allowed me to reaffirm certain elements of who I am and be like, and like kind of take ownership. And I've shared this before in other episodes. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, this is mine. I'm
yeah,
staking my flag in the ground.
yeah.
I'm going
Exactly.
to step into this power. I don't need to
Yeah.
shy away from it.
Exactly, bro. Exactly, man. And they've done exactly the same thing for me. Um, it's like we've said, bro. It's a confirmation. You know what I mean? It's and when it resonates, right? It doesn't have to be proven on any, you know what I mean, scientific level or whatnot. Um, if it resonates and you feel that authentic feeling come up within you when you're told this is how you are, right? Or you're capable of this, or this is what you're like, and you get that, oh, you know what I mean? Like I knew that.
You have
Then
that aha moment,
yeah,
that aha. It's like, oh fuck.
yeah,
And I found that it's brought peace to me before because I've I've grappled with certain things in my life where I'm like, man, why is this like tricky for me? Why is this a challenge? And then you have this ancient system or whatever that is,
yeah,
based on something that people have used for thousands and thousands of years that shines a light again. I use that phrase and you go, man, okay, all right, I get it now. That
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
Now what am I going to do about it?
yeah, exactly,
It's a
exactly.
different relationship to it.
Yeah, but it gives us a signpost, or you know what I mean, a bit of a window or a looking glass to see through to see what our potential is. And sometimes we're actually able, when we have that little window open, we can connect it to those deepest desires and passions that we have for ourselves, and we've always known were there. And when you're able, when that link happens from confirming how you know you are and what it is that you actually want to do, um, and you can take that step into, you mean, doing that and living your truth. That's, yeah, that's
Yeah,
mad.
it's dope. And it also I found that these systems have supported me in having more compassion for others and in relationship
Oh,
because
bro,
it's
massive.
really easy. Like I feel like I notice this all the time and with clients and in my life is that we have individuals where you go, well, why isn't this person like me? Why don't they do the things that I want to do? Why don't they behave like I behave? And we get in these interesting relationship dynamics where each person is trying to control the other person or make them be more like how they are. And it's like that never works.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? So it's like when you have certain tools and knowledge that can support you in
Yeah.
really highlighting differences and honoring them and embracing them and accepting them. Talk about making communication better. It does automatically.
Nothing,
And
nothing has enhanced my relationship and or my communication in my primary relationships, be it with my wife, be it with you, be it with my friends, than human design. Simply
yeah,
put,
yeah, it is so great for that because
be it with my
what human
kids.
is yeah. What human design, I think, does differently than maybe some other systems, it really zones in on your energy type and how you relate with yourself and relate with your environment and how you make decisions.
Yeah,
And so, different people in your life
yeah,
could have completely different energies, different aura types, as they call it, and
yeah,
different strategies and how to move and how to exist within their environment, and then how to make decisions. And just knowing that, just
yeah,
knowing those things, is game changing. And I say that in my sessions with people. I go, listen, I'm going to share a lot of different information with you, and it can be complex. And at the same time, I don't want to give you too much information, but if you just take strategy and authority from this, really strategy and authority, really understanding that and focusing on that and experimenting with that, you could make huge changes in your life. And even again, like we just said, understanding the other people in your life.
yeah.
So, yeah,
It
man,
really,
I'm,
it really
I'm
does cut off the debris, and it cuts out. You mean the guesswork of, you know what I mean? Why does someone respond or communicate this way, and why do I respond or communicate this way? Um,
yeah, especially when you have a deeper understanding about the emotional nature of
mm,
yourself and the people in your life. It brings so much clarity.
yeah, I've got a quote for you. I want your thoughts on.
Okay,
Those who restrain desire do so because theirs is weak enough to be, by William Blake.
read that again.
Those who restrain desire do so because their desire is weak enough to be restrained.
So by this quote, is he saying to not restrain desire?
He's saying your desire is everything. He's saying your desire is there to be explored, right? He's like,
Yeah.
why are we tampering these motivations?
Well, it's interesting in the context of human design as well, because we're both generators.
Mm,
And generators are all about really following your desires and following that bliss and following that joy. Now, the
yeah,
question this is the thing I have and I challenge with human design. and I've had conversations with different people, is like there are many different desires. So how do you follow your desires, like if they might not serve certain things in your life? Like, you
Yep.
know what I mean?
Of
Like,
course, I know what you
I
mean.
guess
Yeah.
I could spell it out. Like, like I'm a man, I'm a married man, and yet I do have other desires.
Yep.
But honoring my desires might not be the best thing for the agreement and the relationship that I'm in
Do you think there's
currently.
anything to be said for, you know what I mean? Desires that may be born out of
Trauma.
something else, out of suppression or conditioning or whatnot. And there's also innate desires which are authentic to us. And I'm not saying it's one way or the other. I'm just
Yeah.
exploring the conversation.
Well, and that's the thing, is it's hard to know
Mm,
if these desires are coming from a place of lack, a
mhm.
place of insecurity, a place of, you know, responding to past traumas, etc.,
Yeah.
or they're more authentic in the sense of this is who I am.
Hmm.
This is the kind of person I am. I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah.
but I enjoy the conversation and I enjoy the introspection around it,
Yeah.
because some people may desire to shoot heroin.
Yeah.
So, again, like that might not be the best idea, and again, is where is that coming from? That's the other question. But and
Well,
as a
I would say
general idea,
anything linked to intentional harm, we
yeah,
can we can
we
say is
can kind
not
of throw
coming
out there.
from.
And I think that's the thing, is I read a quote like that and then I go like, well, what do you mean about this desire and that desire? Playing devil's advocate. But in the general sense, yeah, I think it's really important.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who suppress and repress their desires because what will mommy and daddy think?
What will God think?
What will God think? What will my neighbor think? What will my best friend think? What will my husband or my partner think, or my girlfriend or whatever?
Yeah.
You know?
My
Uh,
pastor or whatever it is.
yeah, it's really interesting to think about that. And it comes back to communication again.
Yep.
Can you trust that the person you're in a relationship with, that
Mm.
they can hold space for you being true to who you are?
Yep. Yep. That's
And
massive.
you don't know that until you roll the dice.
Yeah.
But so many go 20, 30, 40 years with things left unsaid and things lingering in their subconscious.
Because they're are they scared of the repercussions of what would it be like if I just spilled myself inside out properly and fully?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a level of fear because
Mm.
there's unknown there. When you're doing the same thing you've always done, it's
Yeah.
known. Oh, I
Yeah.
know this. I know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I could deal with it. I could deal with the self, pain and white knuckle things, but I'm not expressing it.
Yeah.
So, I know this pattern. But once you actually open the door and go, hey Joel, so there's something I want to share with you that I've
Yeah.
never shared with you before.
Yeah.
XYZ. Whew, what
Yeah.
then happens?
Yeah.
And most of the time, I've found that the dialogue goes a lot differently in real life than it's gone on in your head for, hours, days, months, years, decades.
Yeah, dude. And we live with that, huh? We live with that for such a long time until we can't live with it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's yeah, bro.
Again,
That's
pain is a motivator for change. If you can feel that pain of doing the same thing over and over and again and not getting the result that you want, then you go, okay, now's the time.
yeah. And that's generally how it happens because that pain becomes, you know what I mean, felt enough to actually then act upon it.
Hmm.
And for the longest time, it's like, how can I act? What decision do I need to make? Well, the whole time you know what decision you need to make. You know what it is that you need to address. But even for a while there, you're still trying to curtail around that,
Yeah,
even though that's
rationalize,
what's coming up so
justify.
loudly, right?
Yeah. Well, you ignore it, you'll rationalize what you're currently doing, you'll justify it, you'll go, oh no, I could put that off. I don't need to deal with that. I don't need to have that conversation. I could go
Yeah,
another year in this relationship I don't like. I could go
yeah,
another year in this job that makes me miserable and is causing all these internal conflicts which are then leading to symptoms that I'm dealing with, and which is a whole nother subject and conversation
yeah,
uh, around like health and what disease really is.
yeah.
So, again, foundations, self-knowledge. We talk about it all the time, self-knowledge.
Absolutely,
what
bro.
what are you doing to gain more self-knowledge? What are you doing to take that that energy and that focus that is pushed externally into this malignant world, malignant culture that you speak about often, and turn it back inwards.
Yeah. Well, even just for those that want to advance, you mean in any area of their life, be it financially, spiritually, you mean emotionally, health, whatever it is, we're always looking outwards to do that. It's not how you do it. It's not the way, right? We can only go out as far as we are willing to go deep. And this is a continually lived experience for me for anything that it is that I want to experience. I don't need to push harder out there. It's not that. I need to release something in here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's proven itself time and time and time and time again. I'm blocking myself from getting what I want because I'm not willing to address what I need to address to open myself up to having that experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
the
made me
real,
think of
yeah,
no. Well, I was just saying when you were speaking about that, it made me think of a scene slash quote from one of my favorite movies, The Shawshank Redemption, where the saying goes, I don't want to, ruin this for anyone, but it says, "Salvation lies within."
yeah, bro.
And
Simple, man.
there's it's really simple.
It's profound and it's potent and it's the truth, bro. It's liberation, bro. Is an inward experience, man. Every single time. Um, so if anyone wanting to do the real work, or you mean wondering why they're not getting what they want, or you mean progressing in the way that they feel they need, they should, or they deserve, it's turn that gaze the other way, man.
Mm-hmm. Turn it inwards.
Yeah.
Turn it inwards for sure. And again, like for anyone that's watching this, I would think that anyone that's drawn to this podcast that's called Here for the Truth is is probably going to be someone that either has been on a journey of truth seeking, and we call this Here for the Truth because it's internal truth, it's external truth, it's truth in general. And so
Yeah.
people are going to be on that journey. And so yeah, I would say they're doing what they're doing, and at the same time, like there's so many different tools out there that support you to go more inward. And what
Yeah.
is that? What are those? Like, let me ask you this: for you, what has been beneficial for you in your hero's journey, in this truth-seeking journey, and healing?
There's nothing that's been more important for me than learning to trust myself and having that, building that muscle and having proven that by by trusting by trusting what comes up. And because for the longest time, I wanted to escape, I wanted to avoid, I didn't want to deal with it. But the moment you start acting on those things that you need to act on, bit by bit by bit, you trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you strengthen intuition. And when you strengthen intuition and figure things out on your own, then you can you can move forward. You can build, you can create experience that's conducive to who you really are. So that's it for me, man. It's learning how to trust myself, because we live in a society and a malignant culture that doesn't want you to trust yourself. Everything is designed to have you outsource that trust and to have you believe that someone else or something else knows better. Um, and that might work for a sausage factory, right? But it doesn't work for humans.
Yeah. Real quickly, I just wanted to check in from a connection standpoint. Have I been okay? Because I just realized I'm not connected to Ethernet. I've been on Wi-Fi this whole time.
I have a feeling you've been, the video's been in and out the whole time.
All right, I'm just gonna do a quick. I'll come back on. I'll do a quick little change. It's not.
All
It's
right.
not gonna. It'll just be like a little.
No, go for it.
All right, I should be back on.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Sorry, man.
We don't got
So
the
what is it for
best
you?
internet here in Topanga, California. I got to go back to that old Ethernet.
You gotta get on Starlink, bro.
You know what? It's yeah. I should get on back on Starlink to be connected to the God knows what. But
What
we
about
looked at
Grant,
it just
dude?
because we were
What about
curious.
Grant?
But
The vaccine
yeah,
is the operating system.
yeah, that was trippy. That was trippy. It's interesting when I think about that conversation, and even like when I think about having Shane on soon. It
Mm.
just makes me think of this idea. Well, first, it makes me think of this idea like truth is stranger than fiction, but then it also makes me think of this, I think, fact that a lot of the fiction that we've been fed is truth,
Yeah, that's
like
right.
is what goes on in the world,
That's right.
you
But
know?
is it one because they have to tell us, or is it two because if they make it so outlandish, then it's the last place that we're going to look for truth.
Yeah, I think it's both. I mean, again, there's different perspectives and views on this, and I'm sure, Shane in a few weeks will get into it and elaborate on it. And this is stuff that it's going to be mind blowing. And whether or not you want to believe it or not, we talk about what truth is and the truth seeking journey. And it is, do you have the capacity to hold space for ideas and certain realities that really, really challenge your established set of beliefs and ways of looking at the world?
Yep.
And it doesn't mean you have to believe it. It's just, can you take in the information and go, huh, that's interesting,
Mm,
And that's part of it. That's
100%.
part of, like, you don't just wake up one morning and go, okay, I figured out all the answers to what's going on in the world. I mean,
Mm,
maybe some people do. Maybe some people have that just like divine insight or whatever you want to call it. But it's a process. Oh, I picked up this book. Oh, I listened to this one person. Oh, I meditated for, an hour and really reflected on my experience in the world and what I observe, and I've come to this truth. It's this interplay very often with what we
yep.
see, what we learn, and what comes from within.
Yep.
Uh, So,
And
anyways, it just kind of went on that.
I think that's going to be something that is going to become more and more prominent as time goes on now, because there seems to be stranger and stranger truths appearing all the time, which are going to confront, what I mean, a lot of people's, I guess, preconditioned ideas and the psychic blockages that we may have to what we perceive to be what is actually reality.
What is reality? Yeah, I mean, you
And
just see it.
we
Continue.
we live in a obviously obviously our perception of reality has been distorted. There's no doubt about that, right? When you just take the simple objective fact of looking at who has been feeding us the resources that we have to observe reality through, and you take the objective look at who those people are, what their motivations are,
Hmm.
and what they're doing now, and you realize I can't take anything I've learned or most of the things that I've learned on face value
From the minute we're born.
from the
From
minute
the
we're
minute we're
born.
born, because again, remember, our parents, to whatever degree they are products of a certain malignant culture. I'm actually grateful to a certain degree that my father had a second grade education, my mother had a sixth grade education. They grew up dirt poor in
Yeah,
Greece and
yeah,
like didn't really know how to like use the remote control or watch TV. So there's a certain level of
yeah,
um, programming from the familial level that I feel like I didn't get
yeah,
in relative to culture, relative to like mainstream society and mass media, et cetera. Now, of course, I got all that once I started consuming television and movies and watching the news and all that and going to school. I mean, going to public school. I mean, I mean, we could just start there. What is the purpose of public school?
yeah. And that's a conversation we'll definitely dive deeper into. We've got some guests lined
Yeah.
up, which I think we can definitely explore that in. But now that we understand the fact that our governments are psychopaths, um,
Hmm.
pedophiles,
Yeah.
murderers,
Yeah. And again,
liars,
not everybody,
criminals. Not
but
everybody, but
but
for the most part, that appears to be the MO.
yeah, I
And
mean, all you have to do is research and read, and you see that. You look
we're sending
historically.
our kids to be mind molded by these people for 15, 16 years of their life before they're able to enter culture.
Mhm.
Something seems to be a little off
I mean,
about that.
all people have to do is go look up Jimmy Savile. Look up Jimmy Savile in the UK historically and his relationship to PMs, to the royal family, to all these things. Like, you
Yeah,
didn't know what was going on, please.
yeah,
And all this stuff came out right after he died, and that's like a little granule of sand of on a beach of what's gone on and what's happened on this planet. But again, unless it's delivered to you through mainstream channels,
yeah,
New York Times bestsellers list, CNN, Fox
Yeah.
News, whatever, school, your parents, your doctor, your governors, your politicians, then it's not real,
Yeah.
right? That's how it is. We have
Yeah.
thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of history on this planet.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that couldn't be possible. That's not it.
And I think as the collective
It's
continues to
insane
wake
for
up,
me.
they're gonna be ready for deeper and deeper revelations.
I think
Because
so.
on some level, if I look at the evolution of consciousness, if I stand back, you couldn't just drop like you mean, well, not that I know the truth, but you couldn't drop the extent of the lies on
No, no, no,
on,
no.
on a collective that, you know what I mean, will their heads will pop.
There'd be
Right?
mass,
So there has to be
mass.
some kind of priming, or these inner and outer realities, as above, so below, as within, so without, right? For that truth to actually be held or experienced in, you know what I mean, any real way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the minds would explode. There'd be mass hysteria. I mean, more mass hysteria than, creating COVID 1984.
Oh yeah, there'd be
But
mass disassociation,
mhm,
like for real.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think so. Like even just when someone shares a simple belief with someone and they don't want to acknowledge, just a simple concept of cognitive dissonance.
yeah,
What level of cognitive dissonance would occur on a mass global scale if
yeah,
things were shared just out of the blue? And
yeah,
again, I'm not sitting here and say I have all the answers. I know the truth. I don't.
yeah,
But I'm in the arena. You know,
yeah. That's
I
right.
got my gloves on. I got
Yeah,
my gloves on. I'm like, yo, what's happening? What's going on this planet?
yeah,
What's this person about? Where does this person come from? What is this scholar talking about? Oh, why has this person been censored on social media? I'm curious what they have to say.
yeah.
I mean, shit. I'm being censored. I only have 2,000 followers, and I'm being shadow banned on Instagram.
You're a threat, bro.
I'm a threat. Thought police is after me. You know, the
Yeah.
Ministry of Truth putting out truth.
I'm fucking over this Instagram, dude. Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's 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 a great platform, man. But where are we going to go from here? We can't possibly keep doing this on Instagram. You know what I
No,
mean?
no,
It's
it's
like,
not. It's not going to happen.
it's not conducive.
No,
It's not
it's not
conducive.
going to happen.
No.
And again, for anyone watching this, they probably see our bio. We have a Telegram page, which it's only a matter of time probably before
Mm,
something goes down with Telegram. But our goal, and we want to let you know, is our goal is to have our own private membership website where we can control all the content and
yeah.
have any freaking guest we want talking about any freaking content for you,
Yeah.
censorship free. And yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah. Private forum, private discussion. You know what I mean? No thought police here.
Yeah, no, not at all. And again, it's just like this melting pot of ideas and realities and things to just explore and to wrap your head around and to ask the tough questions and to contemplate.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Not just like, okay, little Johnny, this is your book. You have to study chapters 1 to 3, and then you have to give the right answers or else you fail, and then you're gonna be nothing for the rest of your life. you know?
Legit, man.
It's like,
Legit, bro.
let's
And
get the
that's the
fuck out of
fear
here.
that we all lived with, dude. Or most of
Yeah.
us anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And listen,
you
I
gotta
was
get your shit together
fortunate.
now. 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. You gotta fucking perform for these people right now. Otherwise, you're gonna fuck up your entire life.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And some of the most amazing people that I know, they're people that are just like, they weren't the most ideal students in the conventional sense
Yeah.
because they were like, fuck this bullshit. I
Yeah.
see through your lies.
Yeah.
Not into it.
I
I'm going to
rejected that
follow
shit,
my inner
man.
truth,
Yeah. I
you know?
dropped out of uni 3 different times, man. 3 different times. Like there's that part of me like wanting to, yeah, appease parents, appease family. But each time I enrolled in something, I'm like, nah.
Yeah, no, my journey happened later. I mean, because I had the ability to really memorize and regurgitate information. I was blessed with a good memory. So I
Yeah.
was able to succeed in the conventional schooling model,
Yeah.
And so it took me until like, I would say probably during college and traveling. Because for me, it was like, oh, I'll just get the grade. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to prove, I'm not going to go to class all semester. I'm just going to memorize shit the night before. I'm going to go in the next, I'm going to go straight to the exam, I'm going to regurgitate it, get that A, and be like, yo, what's up? I'm special. Even
Yeah.
though I
But
didn't
this,
learn shit, it didn't even matter. It's like, fuck this.
you know how similar our paths are, bro, in that regard.
Yeah,
It's
it's
crazy,
great.
dude. That's crazy.
But, and funnily enough, my third year of college, And I went to Boston University. My third year, I think it was my spring semester, I spent studying abroad in Sydney, Australia.
Hmm.
And that was a life-changing experience for me because I lived on the other side of the freaking planet. And
Yeah.
I was right before I turned 21 years old, and I was living alone, and I was meeting all these other people from different parts of the world, and I was meeting people, Aussies especially, and some Brits who were like traveling. They were like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I've been traveling for 6 months, and then I work for 2 months, and I travel for 6 months, or I've been traveling for 2 years." And I'm like, "Wait, that's a thing?
Yeah.
You can do that?" You know? So it was life changing for me, and I have such a love for Australia. It's no surprise that we're doing this together because
Mm.
Australia is that one place in the world that I just like. Oh man, if I could like live two lives, like the coast of Australia, like the East Coast.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not a fan of your government, your politics, and all that stuff, there's just some of the people I love, and the terrain and the weather. I don't know, man. I just dig it.
Man, it's this.
Even though y'all speak a little funny.
Yeah, man. Apart from the fact that Australia has now kind of popped its head out as possibly the headquarters of the NWA.
I know. Is
It's
it
a beautiful
Australia?
place,
Is it
man.
Canada? I'm not sure.
Australia, New Zealand, and Canada are duking it out at the moment. We'll see. We'll see who gets the throne. But yeah, man, Australia, bro, is the most beautiful country, most beautiful coastline. That I feel absolutely blessed to live here, dude, and the people here are amazing. Obviously, there's an element, there's elements in the Australian culture which I believe are conducive for this being the birthplace of whatever it is that they're trying to pull next. You know what I mean? We can be quite an easygoing bunch of people and just, doing
Yeah.
whatever it takes. You know what I
Don't
mean?
stand out.
Yeah, tall poppy syndrome, 100%. Um, but dude, there's a lot of people in Australia waking up and standing up, and Australia's a mixed bag, man. Right? There's many different cultures here,
Hmm.
many different cultures here. Cultures that come from quite fiery backgrounds as well. You know what I mean? Be it the Mediterranean, be it the Middle East, be it wherever it is.
Yeah. A
Um,
lot of Greeks in Australia.
a lot of Greeks, bro. A lot of all those cultures, man, and those people too are waking up and realizing a lot of these people fled their countries, right, because of tyranny. Um, so that call, man, that phone's ringing, and slowly, one by one, bro, it's being picked up. And we'll see how things play out. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm curious to see how it's going to play out, but I like it. I like seeing this little it's like the ripple effect. You make a little change in your life, or you start thinking things differently, like that 100th monkey effect, and then
yeah,
how does that shift to the people around you?
yeah,
There's people I know that are asking questions and more curious about some of the things I've been talking about for some years now, and they're like, "Huh, well maybe Yerasimos isn't a crazy conspiracy theorist."
yeah. Oh,
You know?
dude, it's flipped dramatically, absolutely dramatically, bro. Like there's just looking at it purely objectively, bro, the things that people are now willing to comprehend and perceive on a basic level, be it about vaccines, be it about government corruption, whatever. Like, we are so much more open to it.
Yeah. Or
There's no doubt
how
about that.
blatant the propaganda is. How obvious. Like you sent me that video, was it for Australia?
Yeah, the
It's
government
like,
ad. Yeah,
oh my God.
this lady just on a ventilator, just it's quite, oh bro, acting 101, but it's
Yeah.
portrayed to just bring up all those deepest traumas about whatever this is. And
Yeah.
it's from the government.
It's just laughable. And then literally, like in the US, we have someone who's severely cognitively who's suffering from severe cognitive decline, who is the leader of the free world. I mean, it's so obvious that he's a straight up puppet with handlers. And I feel for him. I really feel bad for him that he's propped up in this position. Um, I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of politicians in general, but just witnessing what's going on in this country is just insane.
Yeah,
It's insane. Like, how can you watch that man speak and then think that things are all good and normal?
some
You know?
people do, bro.
Yeah, I know. I know. They're probably not watching this podcast,
That's
and
right.
that's okay. We're not here to. to ruffle their consciousness and get things moving and shaking things up in a little bit.
I'm here to serve my community, bro. I'm here to serve the people that are in alignment with me, and I'm here to deepen that authenticity together with like-minded individuals, because I really think that's the fire that we need to stoke right now. And for me, bro, it's not beneficial or conducive to me to try to convince someone that hasn't
Yeah.
hasn't hasn't put a toe into the lake. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
it just
Yeah, I
doesn't
don't
work.
think it doesn't work, and I don't care. I used to care more in the
Yeah, I don't
past.
care.
I used to want to like, no, but you have to understand my point of view, and I don't care. Oh, you unfollow me? Okay, great. You can unfollow me. Oh, you say something that I don't like? Great. You know what? The proof is in the pudding. I'm living a dope ass life
Yeah.
with incredible people in my life, and I'm feeling healthy and vital and vibrant and joyful and abundant, and I got awesome people that I'm building connections with all over Los Angeles. And we're building a tribe of awesome people. My wife and I are having gatherings at our home,
Yeah.
of people who are just similar and filled with life and love. And they want to hug each other and touch each other and breathe fresh air and eat healthy food and laugh and dance. Like, this is the new world that I'm doing my part in creating.
Yeah.
Yes, I like to speak out. Yes, I like to like shine a light on on people's eyes and be like, how the fuck are you not seeing this? And I love sharing memes, and I could be a little dick sometimes and be self-righteous. But at the end of the day, I'm creating the life that I want to live with my wife, with the people I care about, with my family, my friends that are on the same page. Everyone else, you know what? You do your thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's it. You want to line up and roll up your sleeve and be a guinea pig, then cool. I like that you have that um the choice to do so.
Mm.
But also I'd like to be allowed the choice to live my life how I see fit.
Yeah. Definitely, man. I think that's something that I've had to go through as well, because the savior programming and me wanting to save everyone and shake everyone and be like, why can't you see this? Especially, closer family and friends, and wanting to drag everyone through it with me. And just coming to the acceptance, bro, and the realization that doesn't work, and it's not the way. And there's inner work around that as well. Um, and I think that's something that's going to become more prominent for most people as well, especially as we see the fallout from this injection, which, you know what I mean, as far as I can see, is designed to kill, right? Um, so yeah, bro, I hear you and I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. We're in uncharted territory in a lot of ways, and we're asking the
Nice.
questions, and that's it. We're in it. I'm not going to sit here and say I have all the answers. I know what's going to happen. Joel, I don't think he's going to sit here and say, "Oh, I got all the answers." But we're presenting things in a way that I think are important for individuals that want to do the work, that want to ask the questions, that want to go deep.
Yeah.
That's
I've
the
been I've,
journey.
I've been getting some messages, and there's one thing that I'm certain of, and that is that if you are in the game and you are in the arena, then start removing as much reliance as possible on any system that has capability to coerce you into making a decision that you don't want to make. That's that's something proactive that everybody can do. You know what I mean? If you're working in any government sector or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Whatever they can use to blackmail, gaslight you with, to force you to move against your will. That's what's playing out right now, and that's what they're trying. So if people want to take positive action and positive steps in a direction that is based in authenticity and sovereignty, for me, it's that. Just consider where am I still reliant on this beast slavery system, and figuring out how I can fix that.
I don't know if I have anything else to say.
Hmm. Well, man, episode 10.
There we go. What do we got? We got episode 11. We got someone coming up. Oh, yeah. We got a great guest coming up on
Yeah, man.
episode 11. It's
We
going to be
definitely great
awesome.
guest.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to it, bro. That conversation will be filmed this Friday. This episode will be out in a couple of days. But yeah, also people moving forward, we've decided to do 2 episodes a week.
Mm.
We like bringing you the truth. And I mean, we love the response that we're getting. And I think this is, a project that, want to keep growing.
We're
and keep
passionate
building.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we've said this before, and that people's reliance on the mainstream media is just like at an all-time low. MSM is dying. People know that it's pretty much the propaganda arm for, the people that are pulling the strings on this planet.
Yeah.
Propaganda arm for governments, and so people are turning to alternative media. They're turning to podcasts like this. They're turning to other podcasts and other platforms where people that would never be on the mainstream media because they would never be allowed are out there speaking their mind, speaking their voice. And we want to bring a lot of amazing voices to you.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do twice a week.
Hmm.
And you might get an occasional dose, like I said at the beginning, of just Joel and myself,
Yeah. Every now and then we like to hear our own voices too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's great. Sometimes it's like just ask 2 questions and then it's like, oh wow, an hour and a half later, here we are.
I know, bro. I love it.
It's great. Cool.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate all of you, every single person listening now. Just honestly, a heartfelt thank you. We honor the path that you've walked. Even, just the fact that you're listening to this podcast speaks a lot to where you are. And glad to be here with you. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, everyone. And if you love this podcast and you get a lot out of it, please share it with your friends, share it with your family. The ones obviously that might, receive it in a certain way. And we'll come at you in a few more days.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Smoking mirrors, I'm seeing through the illusion. Waking up in a time, they think you're in a delusion. Somebody set the alarms, cause they be too busy snoozing. I'm in a DeLorean.